So I'll move on to today's session. So today we're joined by Subhamoy Das. So Shubho is the president of IABC in India and joins us all the way from Delhi today. So Shubho is a former journalist and a communication professional with 2 decades of experience across all disciplines in PR, marketing and comms. He's authored several books and is an industry expert on social media and digital marketing, so quite a broad background, and leads marketing and communications for a leading global professional services company in India. So I'm hoping everyone can hear us all okay. We did have a few technical issues earlier. I'll hand over to Shubho in just a second to speak. Now, typically we would allow for questions at the end, but today Shubho's really happy for you to ask questions during the presentation. So if you've got something you would like to ask, you can go to the Q&A box, which will be on your screen. If you just scroll to the top or the bottom, you'll hopefully see that. Just type your questions in and we'll try to work through those as we go. So Shubho, hopefully you're okay and able to drive from here.
Great. So good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are across APAC, and thanks so much for joining. The agenda, as Belinda mentioned, is to understand AI a little bit, not from a technical point of view, but its applications basically, and how it can impact our profession as communicators, as marketing professionals. We are clearly foreseeing a future in which humans and machine will work seamlessly to run the marketing and communication campaigns that are of unprecedented complexity coming up with a lot of simplicity, unimaginable simplicity. And this is through a collaboration of the intelligence, artificial intelligence and human intelligence. Yes, we are at a time when we have surpassed the definition of artificial intelligence given by John McCarthy. That's the little definition that you have, the father of AI. So he said artificial intelligence is the science and engineering of making intelligent machines, especially intelligent computers, computer programs. So we've moved much ahead. Today, an AI system learns from experience, uses the learning to reason and solves complex problems, understands language and its nuances, and it creates perspectives, and it can even read and write. That's what we do for a living. A little bit of history, the evolution of AI. In the early 1980s, when the PCs were born, to the late 1990s, when the internet boomed, and the mid-2000s, when the mobile brought a revolution in computing, we have come a long way. In the year 2000, Google founder Larry Page, he dreamed of AI in these terms, if you can read, and said that AI would be the ultimate vision of Google, but they were nowhere doing that then in 2000. Cut to last year. This is a picture from 2018. Last year, his successor, Google CEO Sundar Pichai, talked of moving from mobile first to AI first, and went to the extent of saying that AI is probably the most important thing humanity has ever worked on. I think of it as something more profound than electricity or fire. So that's a huge statement. Let's see what the others are saying about AI, just to set up context to what we are talking about. These are some of the quotes just collected. Gartner says that 85% of all customer interactions will be managed without a human by 2020. And according to McKinsey, the biggest value opportunities for AI will lie in marketing and sales, which is close to what we do. Accenture calls AI the single biggest technology revolution the world has ever seen. So is AI such a big deal? Yes, the most important general purpose technology of our era is artificial intelligence. And particularly with machine learning, AI can now achieve superhuman performance in a wide range of activities. Because of machine learning, or which is called ML, Robots can now read and write. So some of the acronyms that you see while studying about AI is NLP and NLG. NLP is when a machine reads text and turns that text into code. NLG is when a machine uses that code to then create its own words. Both these AI technologies are behind Google, Siri, Alexa. You have been using all of those. These have ushered in an exciting new age of voice search, predictive keyboard, for example, and also AI writers, which has a very deep impact on how we communicate and how we work. Last year, Google announced this, and you already are using it now. This Gmail feature called Smart Compose, for example, that is using AI and machine learning to help us write better emails. Smart Compose suggests complete sentences once you start an email, everything from greeting to the closing and common phrases in between. These are all typed by AI keyboards, so you can focus on what you really want to communicate and not get bogged down by just writing text, typing the text. So this entire gamut of AI, ML, as you can see on this slide, AI, ML, NLG, NLP. This is all about I'm going to change all the departments that we can think of in marketing and communications, from content generation to customer engagement, all the way around. So today, let us touch upon the most relevant areas where AI is impacting us significantly. Let's begin with how AI is bringing about a big change in content generation. One of the most basic human activities is writing, and it is getting assistance these days from AI, from machines. So here are some great tools that you can see on the slide that are producing mind-blowing stuff in terms of content writing. Some of these you may be already using. Let's go one by one and we'll give you quick examples, and you can note down the URLs as well, so that you can refer back to them later at a time when you want to use them. A big player in AI is this company called Narrative Science, and they are the developers of Quill, a program which is currently writing over 1 million words a day for companies such as Forbes. Quill is the NLG, natural language generator program that learns and writes the way human does, reflecting the style, tone, format that you want. And it can be embedded anywhere, from an employee referral portal, employer portal, to an external website or a dashboard, anywhere. So this is something that it's an enterprise level stuff. It's not available off the shelf right now, but this is big thing that is behind AI writing. This is one of the examples. So moving on to another, which Washington Post is using, for example. Many traditional media houses and news agencies are using this, and they have deployed AI-powered writing bots like the Washington Post's in-house automated storytelling technology. This is called Heliograph, which is at once an observer, the detector, because you were a reporter there, the writer, as well as the distributor, which distributes news. And it has already done some award-winning work in reporting. For example, these two examples that you can see during the last Olympics and the last US elections. It's already won some awards in reporting these events. After Washington Post, moving on to something called Wordsmith. This is a company this is from a company called Automated Insights, which has created NLG solutions for like AP, Associated Press. Yahoo uses this, and ESPN as well. AP now produces, for example, thousands of quarterly earning stories, financial reporting, with the help of these AI writers. You can find more about it at that URL. And for you to use right now, you can look at this thing called AIWriter.com. Just hold on. Yeah. You can try it for yourself. If you go to AIWriter.com and feed in a headline, for example, it'll do all the research and writing for you, and it's free. You can try now. A beta version is already available. It does daily news, it researches, it writes, and it also rewrites for you, rewords the text that you can copy paste from other sources. So a lot of help right now. It's not a replacement for a real writer, but yes, a lot of help that you can get from artificial intelligence. Moving on to another example called Hemingway. This is very powerful and useful as well. I recommend this this AI-powered online. This is an online tool. This guides and almost forces you to write and rewrite your articles for brevity and dynamism, like active voices, passive voices, those kind of things in English. And the other tool that you may already be using is the Grammarly. This is through that plugin inside Chrome. If you are using Chrome, that sits inside the browser. This widget called Grammarly uses AI, NLP, and machine learning, all that engine behind it, to help improve your writing, from basic spelling, grammar, style, tone, all of those. And it's really, really cool. You can find it at grammarly.com, or you may already have it embedded in your Chrome browser. Some of the other tools that are at an enterprise level that you can think of if your company is willing to invest. Phrasee, this is the market leader in AI brand compliant language generation, quote unquote. That's how it addresses itself, brand compliant language generation. So it uses AI to write better emails, marketing language, than humans, it claims on its website, phrasee.co. Another one is Percedo. Percedo is a cloud AI that writes email subject lines, generates headlines, finds images, it adjusts languages and tone, and it fits in so that it fits into your brand voice. And that's all that a comms team needs to do, right? That's all done by a simple AI powered tool called Percedo. This is also at an enterprise level. Let's see what's going on in the media. For example, BBC. BBC has announced a partnership with a number of universities to use, and this is news from 2018, 2017. That's when they started partnering with universities to use machine learning to improve its content. And it has defined a few areas in which to use AI. And these areas are, as you can see here, understanding the audience, what audiences want, what they and why they want it, and what's the impact of the of those content in their way they consume news. Understanding the content. Basically explore what machine learning can help and in generating content. Curation and personalization to help them with the editorial and commissioning decisions. This is for the editors, and also for BBC itself, designing future experiences and new forms of data journalism. And that they're calling as the content of the future. So you can see that news agencies, we talked about Washington Post before, AP, others as well, and even traditional media that we have been relying on for its human touch, like BBC, is also relying quite a bit on AI. And this is from the screenshot that you see. And as you can see, the project started in 2017, and this is from their research and development website. Now, moving on to some other right, interesting news from China. Alibaba, that's the e-commerce giant that's probably even bigger than Amazon or eBay. This is the AI copywriter. You can read what it says, quite alarming. This is a news from last year, and you can see that the AI copywriter. This is from the latest suite of technologies developed by ALIMAMA, which is the lab of Alibaba. And they have developed, and especially to assist small and mid-sized businesses on Alibaba's e-commerce platform. This is called the AI copywriter, and it can produce up to 20,000 lines of copy per second. And it has also passed the Turing test. And what's the Turing test? T-U-R-I-N-G, Turing test. I'll explain in a bit. And the company said that this copywriting tool analyzes millions of existing samples on Alibaba's online platform and uses deep learning models and natural language processing, NLP, technologies to produce content. More news from China. As you can see in these headlines, Alibaba and Microsoft AIs beat humans at reading tests. Baidu's newest AI can clone your voice in seconds. Yes, in more news, similar news, we have these machines beating humans left, right, and center, from reading to writing. Two separate natural language processing artificial intelligence models developed independently by Alibaba and Microsoft in the first news outperformed humans on a Stanford University reading comprehension test recently. And AI, as you can see, can speak in your voice. Baidu, this company, Chinese company, has announced a new software that uses a neural network to clone a human voice from just a second-long sample. So once the voice is cloned, you can make it say anything. You can even switch around details like gender or accent and get a new voice. I was talking about the Turing test, and what essentially this Turing test is an ultimate test whether you're a human or a machine. This was developed by Alan Turing and long back in 1950. This is a test of a machine's ability to exhibit intelligence or intelligent behavior, which is equivalent to or indistinguishable from that of a human. So as you can see on the slide, the standard interpretation of Turing test is in which player C, the interrogator, is given the task of trying to determine which player, which is A or B, is a computer and which is a machine, and C doesn't know that, and C needs to find that out. And the interrogator is limited to using the responses to written questions to make the determination. And in these tests, the AI is now winning over humans. This wasn't possible even before 2017. Okay, so we talked about text, about content generation, about news writing, and all of those. Moving on to the world of images. Yeah, interesting. Puppy or muffin. They didn't have the ability to do that, machines, but to distinguish which one is which. But now things have changed, as you can see on this graph. So with AI, machines are really making great strides in distinguishing similar looking images and categorizing them. With AI, now Google Photos can also now colorize your older photos, even if you weren't shot in, that wasn't shot in color. Using neural network to recognize and identify the shapes and faces, you know that Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, they have made it possible for you to really do funny things with your photos. Here you can see that they have transposed the eyes of a human and an animal in a second. This is a screenshot from a mobile device. There are newer such companies that are coming up in image processing as well as image recognition. One of them is Clarify. You can find them at clarify.ai. com. They claim this is the latest version of the face detection model, is the most personalized computer vision solution on the planet. It can recognize faces at different angles of the camera. If you're far or close, it doesn't matter. And even partly obstructed or obscured images can be detected. So these are some of the things that are available online for you in terms of face detection technology, as well as image recognition technology. So there are lots of different tools that are already available for image recognition, especially tagging, meta tagging images, as well as finding the right images from a heap of photos that you have stored somewhere. One of them is Amazon Rekognition. This makes it easy to add image or video analysis to your own applications. This is at a cloud level, so this is sits on AWS, which is the Amazon Web Services, which is one of the most foremost the service providers of cloud technology. And you just need to provide an image or a video to the Rekognition API, and the service can identify the objects, people, text, scenes, activities, as you can see here, as well as detect any inappropriate content. It also provides highly accurate facial analysis and can spot or recognize celebrities, and even not just with images but with videos as well. You can detect, analyze, and compare faces for a wide variety of user verification people, and also people counting and public safety cases. It can also look at text, read the text in the images, which wasn't possible even before 2017. So that was another example from an image point of view. That was Amazon. What's Google doing? Yes, Google is helping, is diversifying in a lot of ways and helping their AI technology lend themselves to the good of humanity, including this one, which is helping conservationists identify which animals are in danger of extinction and what threats they're facing, and where they're headed next. This is an example from the Zoological Society of London. They are taking a data-driven approach, and they use camera traps that use motion and heat sensors, as you can see here, to take picture every time an animal passes. And this process generates, of course, a lot of data, which the zoo has been manually tagging and categorizing, a lot of work, and they used to do image by image. But now the Zoological Society of London has teamed up with Google Cloud team to build this, or basically test, this was already there, AutoML vision, which allows them to translate this wealth of camera data that they have captured into useful insights and at fast pace. From the outdoors to advertising. No matter how good your ads or creative content is, if you're manually targeting your audience now, your campaign results are going to perform less than 30% of what you could be performing. Look at this company called AdExt that lets you add AI to your marketing workflow and increase conversion. AdExt, you can find AdExt at adext.ai. It helps you decide which audience is the best performing one for your ad, and the right time and the right place to place your ads. It works with Facebook ads as well as Google ads. These are some of the things that you can, marketing professionals, look at. If you're building a website for yourself or for your company, AI can help as well. Looking at this example, the grid.io, they call it the AI web designer called Molly, and they can build a website in a jiffy. You can find it on the grid.io, and you can input the content into the grid, and Molly will build a site using the power of AI. But this is now sunsetting, and when I last visited, and hopefully a more advanced AI web designer will soon rise. You can find it, go back to the grid.io to find out what's brewing here. Because they're going to produce a new AI web designer, which is not very costly. It's not free either, right? But you can. It's a very affordable web design solution that you don't need to do anything about. Just give them the content and talk about the kind of images that you want, and it will just produce your website in very short period of time. Then you can customize it, of course. Going back to Alibaba, we talked about Alibaba examples, and so the ALIMAMA, the same team that developed the AI copywriter, has also developed to assist like smaller mid-sized businesses on Alibaba's e-commerce website. This smart banner designer, this was released last year, that can resize and reformat promotional website banners with the slide of a mouse. So you can see that you drag a corner of the banner to change the shape of the box, and the system automatically reproportions the images and the copy to fit the new format. So they think that they have achieved this full-size smart adaptation of this big problem of banner design. One more example from Alibaba is this Hollywood. Yeah, you get the pun there, Hollywood. Okay. They have collaborated with the Zhejiang University in China to create a program that synthesizes and composes original videos and promises capabilities for emotional computing. As you can see, emotional computing on this headline. The program is letting online merchants create their own product videos in under a minute.
Subho, while you're there, there's one of our attendees today, Alex, has just mentioned there's another good AI content generator there for videos. Can you see the chat, the Q&A box there? Is it Alex mentions for videos, TubeBuddy does a good job in curating YouTube videos, something new there.
Thanks, Alex. Moving on. So there's another one which was very popular, which still is popular, called Wibbits. It's at wibbits.com. And this already people like NBC, Forbes, Reuters, Bloomberg, they're all using this. And it's a text to video technology, and it produces a rough cut video for your short stories in matters of seconds, which then you can edit and post on the fly. So the question now is, will AI be replacing content creators, writers, journalists? What do you think? I don't think so, not yet. We still need human writers, and the storytelling element is something computers can't imitate yet. And capturing thoughts and feelings, injecting humor, all these are what only human writers can do as of now. Let's see. There are cases where these machines are failing as well, because it's still an experimentation phase going on with AI writers, for example. This is recently when a new chapter was written for the Harry Potter series, and this is called The Harry Potter and the Portrait of What Looked Like a Large Pile of Ash. Yeah, so this is not by J.K. Rowling, but it is actually typed by a predictive keyboard. Yeah, so this is a test for a predictive keyboard. After feeding 7 books, Harry Potter books, through the computer, lines such as these came up. He saw Harry and immediately began to eat Hermione's family. And another one says that Harry dipped Hermione in hot sauce. These kind of this rubbish lines were produced. So you can see that we are not quite there, but advances are being made very, very rapidly. So is your job at stake? Yeah, let's see. If you're still wondering, will robots take your job? You can visit this website, willrobotstakemyjob.com, and enter your job type, and you can see if you are fine or you're an endangered species. Okay, try it yourself right now. You'll find that, and this is a different study by HubSpot in which these Marcom managers, PR managers, event planners, writers, editors, graphic designers have been rated in this about in the likelihood of getting affected by AI. And if you're on this site, willrobotstakemyjob.com, I have done some of these, and I found that these are some of the jobs that are at stake, like market research analysts, marketing specialists, who analyze data, proofreaders, copy makers. Their jobs are at risk according to this website, and you can see what it says. Robots are watching, and the automation risk levels are high. Whereas these kind of jobs as graphic designers or public relations specialists, it says no worries. In one case, 18% only for PR professionals and 8% for graphic designers, which it says the automation risk is totally safe. Microsoft. Earlier this month, Microsoft, this study actually highlighted that high growth companies are over twice as likely to be using AI. And more than 40% of high growth companies are using AI. It has launched AI courses to help business leaders understand how they can harness technology and gain a competitive advantage. And it's AI Business School, Microsoft's AI Business School. It's providing lectures, case studies, guides, talks, all those resources from industry leaders, for industry leaders, and for Microsoft's own executives as well. And decision makers believe that AI will have a very positive impact on leadership as well. Some of these data is great. You can find it online, as you can see in this Microsoft reporter from March 5th. Decision making, optimizing processes, developing new products and services. You can see the top 3 areas where high growth companies expect to use more AI in the coming years, and the challenges as well. However, if you look at today and where we are, AI is in communications and marketing. The use of AI is relatively new and low, but very soon we will require a mashup of AI tools to drive productivity, profitability, performance, all of these. So what we need to do is we must proactively experiment with AI and try different technologies and providers, and figure out how to get ROI for various kinds of work that can be automated in our departments that we work every day. I have no doubt that AI will make us better at our jobs, and more secure in our career, and not the other way around if you're fearing. And artificial intelligence will not replace human beings. Bots will not replace business communicators, and such webinars will not become not run by robots in future, I'm hoping. And IABC will not become AIBC, which is an international association for artificially intelligent business communicators, but it will remain IABC. And thanks everyone at IABC for joining. And for more communications news, as well as from on anything on AI and for communicators, I keep tracking these news, so you can follow me on Twitter. Thanks for joining.
That was fabulous, Shubho. So we do have another, so please everyone, if you do have a question, please get those ready and type them into the Q&A box. Now there's another comment actually here from Alex. You may like to just read that out and reflect on that, Shubho. Can you see that on your screen?
Yes, yeah, no, I can see these three as I'm projecting right now. So Alex is thanking IABC and for this useful and informative session. Thanks, Alex. If you have any questions, or you can type it at the Q&A box right now, and I'll be happy to answer those. In case you want to share stuff, you can write to me at my email ID, which is this at yahoo.com, or this with a dot in between, not an underscore, at gmail.com. Or you can reach out to me through IBC.
And there's just some feedback there from Jonathan as well. So thank you. Thanks for that live feedback, Jonathan. I agree, great overview and very comprehensive view of the application and breadth of the use of these technologies. And I 100% agree. And it certainly might be very new technology, but it's amazing how widespread the use already is. And I think you really encapsulated that for us today.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for joining.
So there's not too many other questions coming through. We'll just give it another minute. But while I will just start to say a few comments. Just if there's any other final questions, please do type them in. I do just want to thank Subho for your time today and for sharing these insights. It really was quite fascinating to see all of those different applications that are already right under our noses that maybe not everyone is aware of. So as I mentioned earlier, this presentation is recorded, and we will make that available to everyone who's registered. But we also love your feedback after these sessions. So when you receive that email, there'll be a link to a survey. And if you have feedback on this or suggestions for other topics, please do share that with us, because we use that to help drive our future. So thank you again, Subho, and thank you everyone for joining. So do keep an eye out. Our next webinar will be in May. And we will be bringing the storytelling expert to you in that webinar, Gabrielle Dolan. She's got a new book coming out on real communication, so we'll have details on that webinar for you in the next few weeks. There's more feedback coming through in the chat. I'm just looking at that before we go. There's also some, anyway, we'll summarise everything out of the chats and the Q&As and make that available in the follow-up comms. So just a final couple of comments from me. Look, before we finish up, don't forget to follow IABC Asia Pacific on social. So we're on Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook, and we'll put those links in the email as well. And that's where you'll find updates on all of our upcoming events. So there'll be a couple more before the end of, hopefully between now and July. We have one in May with Gabrielle coming up, and we'll obviously keep those details coming through to you as they're locked down. So we'll close there. Thank you again, everyone. Thank you, and thank you, Subho. We really do appreciate your time, and I hope everyone has a fabulous day.